Welcome, my name is Becky, and you are watching this special mini-series called Employment Pathway in Australia. The purpose of these videos is to help understand new job seekers three main things: the Australian job market, how to be job ready in South Australia, and third, the workplace landscape after COVID. To help me on this topic, I have a very special guest speaker. His name is Luis Arriola. Luis is originally from Mexico and has been living here in Australia for the last 10 years. Luis has a very versatile career with two bachelor degrees, one as a veterinarian and another one in civil engineering. In Australia, he has completed two diplomas, one in community services and another one in business administration. Due to his remarkable work and contribution to the community, he was granted the Governor's Multicultural Award in 2019. Currently, he works in amig Australia, an organization that helps newly arrived migrants and refugees to settle in Australia. And as an employment pathway coordinator, he helps them to find employment. Hello, Luis, and welcome to our final episode of this mini-series, Employment Pathway in Australia. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you very much. As you see, I am now in a new environment. I feel good just looking after our only home.
I love it. I really love it. And I think it's a good message as well and a good reminder, to look after our planet.
Yes,
I
after
like it.
our only home. The idea is to give our friends some hints so they don't waste their time applying or looking for positions that they have no future at the moment or not in the short term.
Yes.
So if what they need is to generate an income, it's better to focus where there is a bigger offer of positions and a bigger growth of opportunities, which is, as I told you, basically the medical, healthcare, and support industry. As its name says, it's a very wide industry and can accommodate people with different skill language capacities. Also with different qualifications or without qualifications. And also it can be like a entry level, or people can access this industry as an entry level or even in a higher position. So it's a very versatile opportunity where they can fit. And if they are not keen to do this kind of social work, they don't want to deal with people. Well, the other big industry that is as I tell you, the kingpin of the Australian market is the construction industry. The good aspect of the construction industry is that most of the works that this industry provides are full time, which reflects in a good income. In contrast with the healthcare and support industry, where most of the positions are casual or part-time. So there is a difference. The other advantage of the construction industry is that it's a very steady industry. There's always work for everyone, and they move from one project to the other, and there's always ways to move on.
Today, we're going to talk about the workplace landscape after COVID. Obviously, we still, like in 2020, in some countries, and even here in Australia, in some states, still like the restrictions are high. So obviously, the workplace has been affected. In your experience, Luis, how the pandemic of 2020 is affecting the workplace in Australia and particularly in South Australia?
Yes, well, it depends a lot in the qualifications in the workforce you are talking about. But for our purposes, I am going to focus just in terms of the new arrived migrant population.
Mm-hmm.
And what I can tell you about them is that one of the biggest work markets for was the hospitality industry. They harbor most of the youth and the international students and new migrants with low English skills. This workforce was very welcome in this industry, but given the changes and the restrictions, there has been a lot of change in this industry. There has been a lot of loss of positions in this industry. I just noticed that one of my favorites cafe has closed, which is a real pity and real shock.
That's very sad. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, this market has converted to survive, and we will talk about that later on. The other industry that I told you, the agricultural industry sources the workforce peak demand from backpackers and visitors on working holidays.
Yeah.
This is not going to be very limited, given that we have our border closure. And most of those people that originally were coming to support the agricultural industry are not coming anymore, or not in the short term. But the industry keeps going, so there is a lot of work in that area. The farmers are really desperate, looking for people who help them to collect their harvests. So there are a lot of positions, and given the demand, they are going to be very well paid, even better than was before, just because of the offer and demand.
That's interesting. So you said that the first industry that has been affected is tourism, and then the next one is agriculture.
Yes, what I'm saying is the hospitality industry has been shocked. Really, it has gone into a very big change, and there is a lot of positions that originally harbored the youth and the new migrants and people with low English skills, but they are not harboring these people anymore. In contrast, as I was telling you, an industry that is very steady is construction, and another industry that is very steady is the cleaning industry. They I will say they are basically the same, or even better than before the pandemic. The other industry that at this time of the year is demanding a lot of workforce is the agricultural industry. This industry originally sourced the workforce from backpackers or visitors in working holidays. Given the border restrictions we have, these people are not coming, and their positions are vacant, available in a high demand by farmers, which will reflect in better wages for these people who are planning to move to this industry. This is a seasonal industry. It will go well. It started in May and will go through mid-November or late November. So there is, as I mentioned, is seasonal. After this peak or after these seasons, there will be other seasons or the other harvest that will accommodate the people, so they can move on from one farm to the other.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, I would say that's basically how is the landscape. The landscape
after COVID.
After COVID, yeah, that is how the landscape is looking.
Yeah, and that's obviously for South Australia, right? And
yes, yeah, basically talking about South Australia, but in I will say that it can be applicable, or you can extend this same scenario to other states in the country.
No, okay, yeah, no, excellent. And so the second question goes to the groups that have been affected the most. Which one are those groups? I think you already mentioned one, which is
Yes.
hospitality, but if you have any other groups that, yeah, obviously became vulnerable after this pandemic.
Yes. Yeah. Well, in this case, I will mention that the COVID-19 crisis has moved us into a recession status that is being announced widely. Consequence to this crisis, the recession may last for over the next 10 years. The effects of this recession may last or will not be recovered on before the next 10 years or after 10 years. That is one thing that is important to know. The impact is hard. The way the work landscape has changed a lot, and to move back to the status we have previous the crisis, there are a lot of things that need to happen. We need to get the vaccine. The markets needs to regrow. Some of those employments need to be recreated. Some of them want to be recreated. And yeah, that's basically what is happening. Now, I will say that the crisis is affecting mainly three groups in our communities. The youth community, who normally bears a bigger unemployment. The rate of unemployment for them is going to grow from the normal 13-16% up to 20%. So I will encourage the youth that do not dismay. Things are going to be harder, but not impossible. And yes, let's say that the effort that they need to put to get a job has grown 30% more. So they need to if they have to knock, as I mentioned before, if they have to knock 300 doors to get one opportunity, now they need to knock 400 doors to get one opportunity. But the important thing is that do not dismay, keep looking, keep knocking doors, and persevere. The other group that is going to be affected is other group that is very new to the market. This is the graduates. Graduates normally get a job after 4 months. 85% of the new graduates take 4 months before they get their first job. Now this is going to go down, and new graduates obtaining a job will be at the level of 62%. So it's turning again 30% harder for new graduates to achieve to get a position. And the advice will be the same. It's just matter of perseverance. They need to knock more doors, but they will get a job after a while.
Yeah.
And well, and the last but not the least is the general population, the general population underemployment or unemployment rate it was projected to grow to 18.3% or even higher. This may happen in the future. Fortunately, at this moment, the Australian Bureau of Statistics report that for May, the unemployment rate for South Australia has just grown from 5.2 to from 5.7 that 5.2 that was the original average of the state now has moved to 5.7 in May, and in April it went to 6.1%. So this unemployment rate is growing. It's going to be tougher in the future, and the only advice is keep knocking, persevering to get a job. There will be new creation of new jobs. I think the effort that mainly in South Australia has been done in opening the economy are showing effects in our economy moving forward. But the hit was very hard, and it will take long to recover.
10 years, as you mentioned. Yeah, those were the numbers that I was like hearing from other sources as well. Yeah, it's a recession for sure, but as you said, right, we need to keep the hope up and keep knocking doors for sure, and really look for those the construction, cleaning, agriculture.
Definitely. Our workforce needs to adapt to and refocus to where the opportunities are nowadays. And the opportunities nowadays are in the agricultural and construction and cleaning industries.
I like that, adapt and refocus.
Yes. If you were a waiter, well, you need to change your shift and go and harvest oranges, go unpack fruit, whatever you need to do to survive.
That's true.
It's a change of life, but given the size of our economy, I assume that most of the people should be prepared, because you not always have opportunities in one field. You need to sometimes shift. One time you are a carer, another time you are a social worker, another time you are a laborer, and you just need to keep jumping from one board to the other to survive. And the important thing, giving you these numbers, is not to discourage people. Is in contrary. There is a saying that says that announced war do not kill soiler. So if you know the size of the problem, you can manage. It's not a surprise. So given that and now we are giving people the awareness that things are going to be tough, and we are telling them that they are going to be 30% tougher than they were before. Well, now they know that they need to increase their effort a little bit more. It's not that they don't know how much they need to push. Now they know they need to push 30% more at this stage.
So question number 3, how are the industry and market? So how are the industry and market adapting to these changes?
Yes, well, as I mentioned before, due to the gathering restrictions in the hospitality industry, this industry has received a very big hit, and to manage, and they have managed this by reconverting to takeaways options. Most of the hospitality or food industry has moved from takeaway options. The other thing I need to mention is that due to the lockdown of the borders, and the limit of international traveling, the influx of visitors and backpackers on holiday working visa has been restricted, and this has created a foreseeable shortage. Well, it was foreseeable when I wrote this, but nowadays in the news they said that there is a high demand of workforce in the harvesting in the harvesting season, and this season goes from mid-May to late November, and this is a very good news for those people who are looking for a job. There are some inconveniences. Obviously, this work is not in the city; is outside the city. Some of the employers offer accommodation, They do charge for that accommodation. That is a bad news. But given the situation, they may be more flexible in their conditions, because they need the workforce to come over to help. And then what is happening, as I mentioned, is that though that workforce that we have working originally in the hospitality industry as waiters or as housekeepers now need to reconfigure their minds, put a different chip on their heads, and organize to go together or share transport to go to these agricultural opportunities.
I like that. I like that idea of getting together and support each other to adapt and refocus to this new industry. Because as you mentioned, the opportunities are there. We just need to go and look for them and take them. For sure.
Yes, and they are in high demand. They need this workforce at the moment. There is a lot of fruit. There is a lot of fruits that need to be picked. There are a lot of veggies that need to be packed. So there is a lot of work to be done in this area. As I told you, that is not the only option. If people are reluctant to leave the city, there are positions available in the construction industry. But it has another disadvantages, which means that they need to think they are working for a project, and the project has a starting and an end point. Same thing happens in the harvesting industry. You have a season where you are able to pick up the fruits, and when it finishes, there is no more job. But you can move from season to season, meaning the orange is going to be picked in one season, and then you move from season to strawberries, then you move from strawberries to cherries, and then you move from cherries to apples. There is always
always work. Yeah. Yes. Now that you mentioned that, I think it's a reminder as well that the idea of a like 40-year like type of work or type of career is no longer here. I mean, now, as you said, like the jobs are available season to season, project to project. Obviously, there are still some like more like stable, steady jobs and position, but the majority now is going to be that, and it's important to be flexible and to be aware of that as well. And because it's easy to get frustrated, especially if you're being accustomed to do a particular job, and suddenly you need to move from one thing to another one. It takes courage.
Yes, well, it takes courage, and I think those who are in a bigger struggle is the youth, because it's very difficult to start into the market. It's very difficult when you know by default that your chance to get into a job is 3 times harder than the average worker, and the other thing is that you need to change from one industry to the other, and need to be versatile. But as I mentioned before, an ounce word do not kill a soldier. So if they know how the conditions are, they have the tools to fight back and get that opportunity and generate that income. Another important thing is to mention is that when you are looking for a job, you don't necessarily want to love the job. You need to have the skills to perform the job, perform the job within the standards, and receive your money. Because at the end of the story, you are working to get some salary to pay your bills and to keep you going. And obviously, you always need to try to look where your heart is But if there is no opportunities where your heart is, just take whatever opportunity of job is available. Remember that they are to pay your bills and to keep you running, and you will have time to look forward and plan how you get there where you want to go. Meaning you need to plan which steps you need to take to move on steadily and quietly to that position that is your dream work.
That's excellent advice, Liz. Thank you for that. And I think the last question to complete this episode about the workplace landscape after COVID is, what would be the resulting shape of the new marketplace?
Well, that's a very good question, and the answer is not the best I can give you. The future is uncertain, very uncertain, because as I mentioned, there are industries that has closed, or there are businesses that has closed in that industry, and for them to start again is going to take long. Meaning that the industries are changing their size. Some of them were not affected. Some of them were hit very hard. Some of them need to reconvert, and some of those businesses are not going to come back in the short term. What I will say is that we need to be observant of what is happening in the market, and adapt to the opportunities that are growing. I will say that the opportunities in the long term are opportunities that are related to computing, meaning you need to be able to program, to reprogram, or to operate machines with buttons and sticks. That is how the market is moving. We are moving into robotization, or automatization. But even automatization is the trend. It's something that will happen slowly over the time, but you need to prepare yourself to move into that new aspect of the industry. That happens the same in any industry. In the care industry, things are going to move to be more automatized. In the construction, there are going to be more tools that are going to help to do things better. You need to get your tickets to operate different tools, different machines, different plants. And the only way to be ready for the job is to keep yourself updated to what is new in the technology. Now you need to invest in training. You need to get more tickets, in the sense that you need to incorporate more skills, so you can be versatile and jump from one board to the other. This is like trying to manage the wave as you are surfing. You need to keep the balance and be ready to jump, or be ready to fall if that's necessary.
That's excellent. Luis, thank you so much for sharing with all of us your experience, your knowledge, and thank you for that generosity in, as you said, right, with the aim to help these groups that are being vulnerable with all these changes, but also sharing the message of hope and encouragement to adapt and to keep riding that way. That's a great metaphor.
Yes, exactly. The only way is the only thing that you are the only thing you are sure is change. Change is the only thing you have for sure.
That's true. Thank you, Luis. Many thanks and many blessings to you and to your family. And see you in the next video at some point with another interesting topic. Thank you so much for this. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
No worries. Likewise, thank you for having me here, and I hope that this information will be useful for our viewers.
Yeah.
And the only advice I can tell them is they need to be vigilant. They need to be brave. They need to be brave and flexible, and also skillful. They need to prepare themselves. If they have more skills, they are more likely to be employed in one or in the other.